Welcome back to our channel.
This is Andres,
Sherry and our traveling Shih Tzus, and together we are
Buenavidaroute.
After visiting Grand Teton National Park, we drove right into the southern entrance of Yellowstone National Park. Warned by other travelers, we left early in the morning, and the first thing we did was to try to find a camping spot. We were lucky enough to find one at Lewis Campground, which is right at the entrance of Lewis Lake. The same day, we drove to Old Faithful, the most popular geyser in the park. You can download an app to know when the geysers around the world will erupt, including all of the ones at Yellowstone. But there are also signs as you approach them on your walks that will give you a time frame of when the eruptions will happen. So we sat and waited and waited and then waited some more. Waited about an hour and a half before it erupted. Due to the fact that it was a cold morning, once it did, all we really saw was vapor, as once the hot water came into the cold, it turned into vapor. Yet, I hope you can hear our recording, the loud noise it makes, which is on its own, it's pretty impressive. We then proceeded to walk the upper geyser basin loop, which will take you through all of the different volcanic activities and formations.
Aquí vamos por un caminito de madera. Esto es impresionantemente bello. En continua actividad. Wow.
A mean one.
¿Cómo han estado? Les habla su amigo Andrés Osorio de Buenavidaroute. Estamos en un lugar increíble, en los geysers. Les recomiendo que lleguen. Mucha gente viene a visitar este lugar. Es impresionante. muchachos de Buenavida, ¿cómo están?
Ay,
Mira esta belleza.
If there's one thing you can do at Yellowstone, make sure to do this loop. It truly gives you a glimpse of the magnificence of Mother Nature and how in the big scheme of life, we aren't but a speck.
check out the colors on that rock over there. Like a waterfall of colors. Then if we get closer, we see this beauty. So all the different colors are created because of algae. And blue water means the hottest water. Right next to Castle, we get Tortoiseshell Spring. That beauty over there doing its magic at the base of the castle. So Castle Geyser is a massive cone which is a sign of old age. The eruption after eruption, probably for thousands of years, scalding water has deposited a mineral formation. By contrast, Old Faithful fledgling cone may be only a few hundred years old. So this is much older than Old Faithful, which was the first one we watched this morning. See, lessons learned. Apparently here at the park, people think that it's a cool thing to throw things into these beauties. Don't do that. It takes them a really long time to be able to clean them, and it hurts the environment. So pack it in, pack it out. Read the signs. Do not throw anything into the pools.
Next, we drove to Fire Lake Drive, which is less visited scenic drive within the park, where you can observe some beautiful hikes and plenty of fishermen and women. We even met a couple that had a car just like my first car had been in Costa Rica and had actually visited Costa Rica. That's one of the best things about traveling and meeting other like-minded people. So make sure to always say hi to us if you see us on the road. We ended our day at Artist Paint Pots, which is a short but steep hike, yet worth it to be able to see the rainbow of colors from the top view. Probably one of my favorite spots at the park. You truly will understand why it's called Artist Paint Pots, because it can easily inspire anyone to pick up a paintbrush and a blank canvas.
Mire qué belleza, azul.
This night, when we were driving back to our camping spot, we were able to see bison on the road. It was amazing. You will see it in our video where one of the bison literally crossed right in front of our RV. The next morning, we decided to take the east side of the park, which puts us going along the perimeter of the Yellowstone Lake. It is a magnificent lake. Stopped at Lake Village for a snack and a souvenir. Continue our drive, stopping at Mud Volcano and walking that loop, then on to Canyon Village, where you must stop and then walk to the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, with this piece of resistance, the amazing Grand Canyon waterfall. A must-see in our book. To end our second full day at the park, we crossed over to the west side again, but through the northern road towards Norris Basin, but with the intention to end at Mammoth Hot Springs, which is almost at the northern entrance of the park. Wish I could describe the contrast of color of the hot springs blue, turquoise tones, and the white and orange of the rocks it flows onto. Pictures and videos simply do not do it justice. Our last day at the park, our hope was to see what we had left on the west side of the park. But when we got to our first destination point, which was Black Sand Basin, we happily got out of La Chata, did the loop, only to come back and discover that she wouldn't start. We had been having some issues with the battery connection, and it seemed to have drained the battery. 3 different strangers tried to give us a juice, and it just would not start. We had no cell phone signal, but even if we did, we were told tow trucks aren't allowed national parks without a permit. We found an angel along the way, and that's how Berta and Noel, a Spanish couple, were so kind to give me a ride to Old Faithful, where the closest mechanic and tow truck was. Once there, they informed me that they were looking for us at Grand Prismatic and not at Black Sands, and that as soon as a tow truck would come, they would help us. Yet another helpful soul overheard my conversation, and even though him and his wife were going the opposite direction, they gave me a ride back to Black Sands. We waited for the park's tow truck, and fortunately, the mechanic on board was able to get us going. Needless to say, that was the end of our visit, as then our priority was to get to the nearest town north of the park in order to fix our battery dilemma. But not before my patient hubby was waiting for me as I hopped off La Chata and did the Grand Prismatic loop as quickly as my lungs and my legs allowed. He had fortunately done it the day before with the camera, so less pressure on that end, but I just couldn't leave without seeing it. Truly, there was so much more we would have wanted to see, and maybe someday we make it back with more time on our schedule, because let me just tell you, it makes all the sense of the world that if that was the first national park in history, established in 1872, and I don't just mean here in the United States, but worldwide. If you live in this country, make an effort to go, and if you don't, and you come to this country, take it from me, don't waste your time shopping at malls or in big cities. No, come to the national parks. They are the gems of this country, hands down.